share. Yes, I got to start off with a smile. That's what I do. Let me fix this hair, Lord. So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Hello. Happy, tantalizing, terrific Tuesday. Always great to be here with you all. Real quick, because I have to meet with my mentee during my lunch period. So during my planning period, thank you for all of you that's going to jump on. This Real Estate Tuesday. So we're gonna talk about it, right? So let me adjust myself and get into this conversation right quick. My name is Toria Howard. If you don't know who I am, you should. But even if you don't, and you do, I'm reintroducing myself. My name is Toria Howard. I am an educator by day. I teach 6th through 8th grade students, but I'm also a real estate professional, financial literacy educator. Let me get it out. Stop speaking so fast. And business funding broker. And I have a lot of people come to me who want to become homeowners. So I'm going to talk about it today. Every chance I get, somebody comes to me wanting to know some strategies, right? But it's all about the execution. Like, how are we going to execute this strategy? Because I can give you all the information in the world, but are you going to execute it is the question. So I love giving information. I love to educate. So I have no problem with that. So I want to make sure that you can understand that it is obtainable. During this climate, I know it's a lot of fear mongering going on. It's a lot of people saying that you shouldn't purchase homes and this is the bad time to buy. That's because they're buying it. And there's always a good time to buy real estate, regardless of the fact, because real estate helps you build wealth, in my opinion. Okay, real estate helps you build wealth if you use it in the way, in the manner, and know the financial literacy enough to use it. How many of you play Monopoly? Right? Monopoly teaches us how to buy real estate. So get back to those principles, right? I know some of you that play it on your phone. You playing Monopoly on your phone, but you don't own a home. I'm just saying. Not no judgments, no judgments. I'm just saying. You can play games all day, but are you putting it into practical use? Are you actually executing it and doing what you're supposed to do with it? So drop a 1 in the comments if you're watching this live. Drop a 2 if you are new to my live, and drop a 3 if you're watching the replay. And I really appreciate it. So let's get into it. First and foremost, you have to have a mindset of being a owner. A lot of times, in our society, we are such a consumer. We have such a consumer mindset that all we think about is spending, okay, and not being owners. So first and foremost, you have to change your mindset. Like, what is it going to take for you to become an owner of something that is one of the biggest assets that you can buy in your lifetime? Now, you know, there's different proponents saying that, a house is a liability up front until you're making the asset by making money off of it. Okay. But it's still one of the biggest things that you can own, that you can use to capitalize to buy more assets. Okay. So that's the thing. You have to have a mindset of an owner and not just a consumer buyer mindset. Of course, you're going to buy a home, but you have to buy it in an owner investor mindset. We all have these dreams and we have these vision boards and we have the ideal home for us, but you have to start where you are. Just like the game Monopoly, right? You don't start with the hotel. You don't start with, maybe buy the highest property on the board. You start where you are and you work your way up. Because if you know the game Monopoly, if you start off too fast, you're going to be bankrupt. You're not going to make the money. So if you think about the game Monopoly, you have to think about it in a reality sense of the same thing. Start where you are. That's why it's called a starter home. So your first and foremost, your mindset has to go from consumer buyer to owner buyer, investor buyer. I'm investing in this. This is something that I'm investing in. And one thing that investors look at is you have to know your market. Is it in an area that appreciates? Like in Memphis, real estate appreciates from 1 to 5% every single year. Do you know that in your area? In Detroit, it's been like a phenomenal increase, like 20 to 30% increase in appreciation, in Detroit real estate. Do you know that? What are those areas that are going to continue to grow and actualize? And if you are having problems Googling it, take a drive and look. If they're putting a municipal building, any type of landmarks, any type of new buildings or government buildings, that's the first indication that there's going to be a turnaround in that neighborhood. If you see businesses coming back, like Chick-fil-A does not put their real estate, okay, in areas that are not going to actually provide growth and also profit for them. They're going to put it in areas that they know is going to profit. So you have to pay attention to those areas, up and coming areas that a lot of people are straying away from, and see what's moving. If you see a lot of construction going on in the area, if you see a lot of people homes being restored and those different types of things, this area is going to be on a move. You want to look for the areas that are not always sought after, for you to start. Buy the ugliest house on the best block and build it up. So you have to have an investor owner mindset when it comes to purchasing your home. You have to understand how to look at real estate. Real estate is not just a big, beautiful house. Real estate is, you can buy a big, beautiful house and you are negative in equity. And it's going to take you a longer time to build that equity up. What is equity? Equity is what, your house is worth, outside of what you're paying on your mortgage. So for instance, if my mortgage is 150,000, my equity, my house might be worth 200,000. Okay. So I have $50,000 in equity because of that gap. So you have to look at areas where you have the most potential equity growth. So that's why I said you have to, when you first buy your first home, you have to have a mindset of an owner investor. So you have to look at areas that are not as common. I know everybody wants the new builds, but you can have this. You can have a new house by fixing and renovating the house. A lot of people don't have the patience to want to renovate a house. That's one of the things. Like, you want built-in equity, especially in this day and time. You want built-in equity. And a lot of these builder grade homes are terrible. I've walked through a lot of builder grade homes, excuse me, homes built from the ground up, and they look worse than some of the ones that are renovated. Outlets, in the wrong places, all types of things that you can see with the eye. So you need to make sure that you don't get glamorized by shiny brand new that's built, because that's what they want you to do. The brand new home is not always the best, option. You can always take a house and make it your own, because they're going to put things in there that, you might not even want anyway. So, you're just settling for it. So you have to have an investor mindset, investor owner mindset. Secondly, what are your finances saying? That's the question. So what are your finances saying? Like, what are you looking at when you look at your finances? What is your feeling about the money that you have? Because we're all emotionally tied to money, regardless of how you think about it. We know how we feel when we have it. We know how we feel when we don't. So what is your relationship with money? You need to figure that part out. What is your relationship with money? That's a part of your mindset. Are you a spender? That's me. I can attest to that. Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you an investor? Like, you have to have your money. You have to know what your relationship with money is. And you have to start off with a budget. Know your budget. Know how much you can afford. Know what's going out. Know what's coming in. You know what's coming in, but know what's going out. A lot of us get tripped up with these subscription services. I know I have. You'll forget. And all of a sudden, money just coming out. It's a subscription for everything these days. You can't even watch TV without a subscription. You know what I mean? Legally, technically. But you got to have a subscription for everything. So why? You have to understand what's going out of your account. Everybody that has a standard job or has steady income know exactly how much you're going to get paid every 2 weeks, every week, or whatever the case may be. So you need to know that. No, and then you have to attest for your, your rent, your car payments, utilities, your children are a bill. Yeah, children are a bill. And the things that you cannot do without. Those are the first and foremost things that are priority. So you have to put those up top. Okay, we have a system that definitely does that. Then you have your recreation. Oh, don't we love our recreation? Those of us that can't do hair like me, you got to get, that's something that's a need for me. So that's at the top of my budget. That well, not the top, but it's in the priority section of my budget, because I'm handicapped when it comes to doing hair. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say my sister be like, oh, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Yes, we can. But one thing I'm not struggling with is trying to do hair. So that's one thing is put on, that priority list. So what is your priority list of your bills, and put it on there? Saving should be a priority of, but you need to be investing in a high yielding savings, not just any penny, any savings from all these other banks, that, you get tripped up on, you make a penny every year. No, it needs to be something that's 4 to 5%, savings account yielding, at least. And you just want that for your nest egg, for things that you will need, once you get your home, or you need the savings because you have to have a savings nest for when you're using these first time home buyer programs and these incentives. So you have to have that. So you have to, first and foremost, you have to have an investor buyer mindset. How are you looking at the real estate you're buying? Two, you have to know your relationship with money. Do you have a budget? Are you saving? What is your debt looking like? Because your debt to income ratio has to be, 40%. Okay, 40% debt to income. So that means you can have 40% of debt, 60% of, 40% of your debt to income. Okay. So you have to have 60%. You have more income coming in than debt, but you want that debt lower than 40%. Okay. Because the less debt that you have, the more houses that you can afford, but you want to live within your means as well. So know what your debt ceiling looks like. Do you know how to pay down your credit cards? Because they're going to ask the lenders who they are, they're going to ask for your credit card statements. They're going to look for these things. So do you know how to pay your credit cards? Are you paying them on time? Because you can't have no late payments. You can't have, any high over the limit credit cards. So you have to know that your credit cards during that time have to be a 6 to 7%, usually 6 to 7% of your utilization. So that means you're still using it because you have to use it. But it only has to be, it has to be 6 to 7%. Now, if you're not buying a house, 30% is okay. That's still kind of teetering. But if you use your credit cards properly and the way they should, you'll be able to increase your credit score drastically. Now, utilization, because it's on the algorithm, moves all the time. So you have to know that. So like I said, do you have a budget? Do you know what's going on and what's going coming in and what's going out? What are you prioritizing? What is your priority list of the things that you know you can't live without? If you know you can stop eating out for a little bit, stop, shopping every week or whatever it is, because a lot of we all of us have vices that we spend money on at one point. Okay, regardless of what it is, we spend money on these vices. So you have to figure out, is it worth me sacrificing right now to get what I want in the future? It's a temporary thing. It took me because I had used, when I bought my first home, I used the teacher incentives that they had in Memphis at the time, and I bought my home. So and I had savings, and I had just cleared up my credit, so I was pretty good. I was in the high sixes. I wasn't at the 700s yet, but because I was a teacher, I was able to get the program because I was almost at a 700. I was like at a 690 or something like that. So I still bought my home, and my interest rate was kind of high because I wasn't in that 740, 760 mark, but it helped my credit when I got my home. So you have to understand your budget, know what you can afford. A lot of people live outside the means, and that's how they cannot keep their house, because the thing is, you have to account for the things that you have to have. You have to have insurance. You have to have, your homeowner's insurance and your home warranty. So you have to factor that into your mortgage payment. So if you're paying $1,500 a month right now, and that's comfortable for you, and that's it, then that means you have to factor in your homeowner's insurance and your home warranty into that, plus saving for maintenance, that things that are not covered if you don't read your contract. So then that probably brings you down to probably about 1,200, just mortgage alone, right? Because you don't want to go over that $1,500 ceiling. So you need to make sure that you're accounting for that, doing your research and understanding the whole facets of owning a home. And because yes, it's better than renting because it's yours and you can do things with it and you can make it into an asset later, because you could just, this could be your starter home and you can use it for so many different other things later on to help you buy another home or whatever the case may be. So you have to, like I said, first and foremost, you have to have an investor buyer mindset, not a consumer buyer mindset. What is the best, best value? Where's the best value at, so I can have equity built in right from the start? Secondly, you have to know your relationship with money. What is your relationship with money? Or do you have a budget? Do you have savings? Do you know how to pay off debt? Are you using your credit cards correctly? That's the thing. You're supposed to use your credit cards like your debit card. You're supposed to, use it for the everyday things that you use, your gas, your groceries, cell phone. Eliminate a bill by putting it on your credit card. That's what you can do. And stop using your debit card and then you paying two bills. You got to pay for the cell phone and you got to pay for the credit card. Pay your cell phone bill with your credit card. You got the money for it. Boom, you eliminate a bill, and it's going to make your credit score go up because you're going to pay it before the due date and before your reporting date. Those are the two. You need to know what your reporting date is and what your statement date is. You need to know those two dates, because usually your reporting date is 2 to 3 days after your statement date ends. So you need to know that when you're paying your bills and making sure you're paying them on time. Now, next thing you got to do is look at your credit report. What is your credit report looking like? What is it saying? What is it doing? What do you have on there? I talk to so many people and I'd be like, well, what's your credit score? And they'd be like, they know their credit score, but they don't know exactly what's on their credit report. So you have to know that, because you don't know if something fraudulent is on there. You might have all these old addresses and phone numbers and addresses and work history and all that type of stuff. You got collections, charge-offs, and we all know if you have bankruptcies and evictions and um, repossessions, those type of things weigh heavy on your credit. So you need to get with someone like me to help you to be able to remove those negative items, because if you have negative items on your credit report, you won't be able to purchase a home. So you need to make sure that you don't have those negative items. You don't have late payments. You don't have the charge-offs, because late payments, charge-offs, and collections are definitely a no-no for a lender if you're thinking about purchasing a home. A bankruptcy weighs heavy on your credit score, but as long as you are 2 years discharged from the bankruptcy, you can still purchase a home, but they're going to make you write a letter, get all this paperwork, blah, blah, blah. So it's good to just, get it removed. So you get with a professional like myself or somebody else to help you do that. You can't have any repossessions. You can't have no tax liens. If you owe the IRS, you cannot buy a home, because that's the first thing they're going to take is your house. And the bank doesn't want the IRS to have your house. They want to keep that money generating for them, because they're making money off your interest. And if it gets tax seized, it gets seized by the IRS, they don't get paid. So if you owe the IRS or you got a tax lien, no. Make sure you don't have those negative things. Look at your credit report and figure out what you can eliminate. If you plan on taking your tax money, I don't suggest this, but if some people live this way, and we do the same things every year. If you plan on taking your tax money and you're going to pay off debt, you need to be contacting these debtors, and usually those collection agencies, they are not the original creditors, so you don't owe them. You owe the original creditor. So if you're going to pay these collections off, is your credit score is going to drop for one, and for two, you need to pay for deletion if that's what you're going to do. You can get collections and charge-offs taken off your credit report. It's a part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So you can get those things taken off your credit report. You just have to get with a professional to help you do so, like myself, or somebody else that you feel like you trust. Okay, so you can't have any of those things. So no, like I said, once again, when you're thinking about becoming a homeowner, you have to have an investor buyer mindset, buying the best value to build in equity. You have to know your relationship with money. What does your budgeting look like? What your debt look like? What your savings look like? What is your credit score and your credit report looking like? You have to know those things. Okay. And then secondly, you have to, I should say the fourth thing, you should know exactly where your paperwork is as far as your tax returns. Do you have your 2-year tax returns? If you're a business owner, you probably need more than that sometimes. They usually want 5 years or something, depending on how long you've been in business. You have your W-2s, you have your 1099s, you have your credit card statements, you have all your bills. Like, you have to have all your paperwork. Okay, all your paperwork has to be right. You have to have everything so that they're gonna comb through your finances, unfortunately, and they're going to figure out if you're worthy enough for this loan that they're going to give you. So you have to have all your paperwork in order. And like I tell a lot of my clients, go and interview these mortgage lenders. See if they are a right fit for you, because the mortgage lender and the underwriter will make or break your deal. I've seen it happen too many times. So you need to make sure that you're working with somebody that's going to get you to the finish line, the closing table. They're actually looking. So you have to ask questions. How many loans have they processed this year? What are some of the loan types that they have? What do they know what you qualify for based on the paperwork you gave them? Go in there with your paperwork. Go and sit down with somebody in person. Go in there with your paperwork and have them look through your paperwork and let them tell you what they can do for you. They work for you. You don't work for them. And make sure that you are asking them for references. Let me have some references of people that you have taken to the closing table. And talk to those people. Choose wisely, because they can make or break your deal. And once you get into the space where they look at your paperwork and they tell you, and you figure out, they tell you what you can qualify for based on your paperwork, because you then went in person and you gave them the paperwork before they run your credit, because you got your paperwork in order, and they can tell you. Because if they can't tell you by your paperwork that you give them, if you have your W-2s, your tax returns, your good morning, Ray, and you have your W-2s, your tax returns, your credit card statements, your bills, your income statements. If you're a business owner, all your paperwork that you need, your profit loss statements, your assets and your liabilities, your balance sheets. You have all that paperwork, and they look through there. They should be able to tell you. If they cannot tell you, that means they're incompetent, and you need to go find somebody else. Don't let anybody just run your credit just because it's a lot of them that don't understand. Especially if you're a W-2 employee and you have a business, a lot of them don't understand how to merge the two. So you need to be dealing with somebody that knows how to merge those two, or they'll tell you something from the jump, and then by the time you get to the closing table, they're gonna say, "Oh, we can't fund this deal because the underwriter said no." You need to be making sure that you have all that you need up front before you choose somebody. Interview these people, okay? So that's what I would say about that. So it sounds like a lot. I know it sounds like a lot, but everything that you want has a process. Sometimes it happens quicker than others. Sometimes it doesn't. Whatever the case may be, you have to work the process. You have to work the process. So right now, we're 6 months out from July. If you want to become a homeowner this summer, you need to start right now. If you're 6 months out, depending on what's on your credit report, depending on what you can grow your credit score, quickly if you do the right strategy. If you have the right strategy, and I can definitely help you with that. So you need to make sure that you're paying your credit cards on time, of course, but before time that is reported, because everything works on an algorithm. You will see that credit score jump. So you want to be a homeowner. You have to get started. You have to get started. By getting started is checking your mindset. You have to have, like I said, you have to have an investor, buyer, owner mindset. The buying the best value, not the nice, big, shiny, gleaming thing that you think is going to be. No, you need to buy the best value that you can take and make your own. Okay. Now, if you can afford to do the nice, big, shiny, whatever the case, but by all means do that. Those of us that have not reached that status yet, you need to be buying the best value that you can add equity to, that continue to grow in a growing neighborhood. That's an investor, owner, buyer mindset. You have to know your relationship with money. You have to know your money. You have to know what's coming in, what's going on, what's your budget, what's your savings, what's your debt. You have to know your credit report. Not just the score, your credit report. You have to know your FICO credit scores, not those Vantage scores that you get on Credit Karma. It's like a snapshot, but it's not your actual scores that the lenders are using. So you need to be mindful of that. And then, you have to go and find the right lender for you. A person that is going to their do their due diligence, that is knowledgeable, that is willing to help you get to the closing table by any means necessary. They have the best rapport, they have the best attitude, whatever. Somebody that, because it's a relationship, so they have to have good rapport and a relationship with you in order for that exchange to happen, because this is an exchange. So those are some of the tips that I'm giving you today. I always give some tips. So, give me some love in the comments, show me some love. Let me know if this was some good information. I have to meet my mentee. I'm a mentor now. So I got to meet my mentee in like 30 seconds. So I'm going to hop off of here, but reach out to me if you have any questions about real estate. If you have any questions about financial literacy and credit repair, and if you're interested in business funding, I would love to chat with you. Let me know. Just ask me some questions. Share this video. Share it with some people that you feel want to be a homeowner but are not ready yet, and they want to get ready, because I can definitely show them how to get ready. So I bid you adieu, and I'll see you in these social media streets. Bye.